All right, we're live. Welcome to episode 58 of the Pro Grow Baduk Weiqi Podcast. I am Xiao Dai.
And I am Gaza. Now, Xiaodai, what do we have installed for this podcast?
My operating system is still Windows 11, but we have possibly the biggest news of the decade. This item involves Shin Jinseo. We're going to go to Taiwan and talk about the biggest title in Taiwan. And then Honinbo Game 1, maybe the last of an era. And we're going to talk about who makes the Asian game squad for China. And of
Well, it
course,
looks like we've got all the major regions covered this week, Xiaodai. Well,
yeah,
all the major regions in Asia, that is.
that's right. And that's not all, Gaza. We're going to go to Japan and talk about the Aizu Central Hospital Cup, where the Challenger final has just finished. And then you're going to bring us some Korean news. And then we're going to finish off with some breathtaking picks from China, a particular Kongjie to feature. Okay, so Gaza, having talked about all that, of course at the end we have the calendar. That's always that's kind of without saying. Let's go to the biggest news of the decade, I think, for me.
Biggest news of the decade. Wow, has
yeah.
the Shin Jinseo Koje Jubango finally been announced?
Oh no, it's actually Shin Jinseo losing 2 games in a row.
Oh my God,
can you
2
believe it?
games in a row.
Yeah, I know. I think the internet has just completely gone into meltdown. Shin Jinseo dynasty it has been overthrown. So this is just unprecedented stuff. Has Shin Jinseo even actually lost 2 games in a row, since he's become the world number 1? I don't know, but maybe
Well,
yes.
yeah,
Oh,
several
okay.
times. I mean, he lost to Shin Min-jun in the Mungin,
Yeah,
2-0.
okay. Yeah. But all jokes aside, he's lost a game in to Kang Dong-yun in the YK Construction Cup. And that was when he was leading 5-0 in the league. And
Oh,
then
leading 5-0 in the league. Yeah.
yeah.
So
Mm,
so this is a league game.
yeah.
It's an 8-player league, and they play once each, one single round robin. So they play 7 games, and Shin Jinseo won his first 5 games. So this was game 6 for him.
Yeah.
So it turned out it wasn't that important a game for him.
Yeah.
Like of all the games he could lose, this one had sort of the least writing on it.
Yeah.
Because I believe he's already guaranteed to make the final. So
Yeah. So a bit
it ended up not mattering, but it was still curious to watch because this one was live streamed on Baduk TV. And the interesting thing with the YK Construction Cup is that after each game, they have a little sort of discussion with the hosts, with the casters and the commentators, and they go over moves of the game with the players.
Yeah.
Which doesn't happen. Yeah, it's the players will often discuss moves after the game, but not it's not really formalized like it is here.
Right.
And what I found interesting is that the commentator for this game was none other than Pae Kong-suk, who was the person who beat Shin Jinseo last week in the GS Caltech Cup.
And that was the beginning of his 2-game losing streak.
Yeah, so obviously the caster, I'm not entirely, I don't recall her name. Maybe Eugene in the chat could remind me of her name. But I think she kept mentioning to Pae Kong-suk the fact that he won against Shin Jinseo like a few days prior.
Yeah.
And Pae Kong-suk is, of course, just like many of the Korean players, very humble person, and he was, saying that probably Shin Jinseo was just tired or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to take too much credit for beating Shin Jinseo, but what was also interesting is that apart from that, after the game, when Shin Jinseo lost, they they had it was quite obvious during the discussion after the game that Shin Jinseo didn't want to be there. He just wanted to leave.
Right.
He was very upset, and he wasn't in the mood to
talk
discuss
about it. Yeah.
the game. And you have to remember, this is, like we said, this is the fact that this game had sort of no importance in terms of whether or not Shin Jinseo made the final. He was going to make the final regardless.
Yeah.
It just illustrates his competitive attitude, that even for a game with nothing riding on it, he was still bitterly upset to lose.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was, when they were playing out the move, Shin Jinseo, he was just, basically almost throwing stones on the board, just playing out sequences, making it very clear that he wasn't really keen to discuss anything.
Yeah.
But they still did, as they were obviously obligated to do.
Yeah.
And it was a good win by Kang Dong-yoon. I'll see if I can.
Yeah. Now, Gaza, what was interesting was that, of course, as you mentioned, Park Hong-seok was what started Shin Jinseo's losing streak of 2, and he actually beat Shin Jinseo in the GX Caltex Cup, and I think that was of significance as well, because Shin Jinseo has won the last 5 GX Caltex Cups, and because he got beat by Park there, he wasn't able to make it 6, of course. So, but of course, winning the same competition 5 years in a row is already a record. So not making it a 6, I guess, sometimes things just don't go your way. Yeah.
Well, so obviously he won't be winning 6 straight GS Caltex Cups, which is a bit of a shock to not even make the quarterfinals of that tournament after winning the 5 previous.
Yeah.
I do believe that he already 5 is already the record. Actually, it looks like Lee Chang-ho has won 5 as well in the past.
Right.
However, they weren't consecutive.
Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah, I don't think anyone else has won. Has won as many. So, I strongly believe that Shin Jinseo will eventually win a 6th GS Caltex Cup. It just won't be this year. And that gives other people the chance to try and win this one, like maybe even Choi Jong.
Wow, big call. But after Shin Jinseo's lost 2 games, the internet let's just say the internet was looking forward to the third one, a third straight loss, but it wasn't to be, because Shin Jinseo played in the Korean League, and this is his winning pose after winning that game. So he ended his losing streak at 2.
And I have to let you know, Xiao Dai, this was not actually the game that ended his losing streak.
Oh, is that right?
That's right. He actually played a game the day prior to this in the Yongseong.
Yongseong. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
Against Hong Song-ji.
Yeah. Okay, that's right. Yeah. Okay.
And he won that. So.
Oh wow.
He was already
on a 2-game.
He's now on a 2-game winning streak. Back to
wow.
2-game winning streak.
Oh
yes.
Wow. Yes. So let's see if he can break his 29-game winning streak record. So that's Shin Jinseo. Gaza, you were about to say something about this Shin Jinseo.
What was I about to say?
I can't. Okay, well, let's just move on if you can't remember. But Gaza, let's go to another major competition in Japan, maybe the last of its current format, which is the Honinbo. Now, Gaza, I have to say, I love this fan. This is apparently some kind of manga style depiction of the 9 players in the Honinbo League, or maybe it's just the Honinbo competition. Maybe the 8 players in the league and then the current Honinbo. No, I think these are the 9 players in the league.
No, well, Iyama is in the middle, so
it must be that's the Honinbo. So so it was drawn by an artist. Very interesting. I believe the artist's name, someone in the comment said, was Yuki Shimamura. So yeah, so that was apparently for sale in Osaka. So that would be something nice to get my hands onto. But I think, as we mentioned uh, in the past in the news items, this Honinbo happens to be, or will likely to be, the last one that is going to be following a 2-day final, 2-day game format for the final. From next year, we downgraded to a best of 5 final, and all the games in the final will not be 2 days. It will finish within 1 day, maybe like a 5 hour each kind of game.
Right.
And the whole competition will not be a league; it will be like a straight knockout. So obviously, that downgrade means that they will have to pay a lot less in prize money for the Honinbo, and organizing the whole competition will be a lot less expensive. I guess it's purely driven by financial considerations. So there won't be a big 3 title anymore in Japan. There will be a big 2. The Meijin and Kisei remain. But Gaza, in game 1, the current Honinbo is Iyama, is facing a challenge from Ichiriki. Gaza, what happened last year? Do you remember what happened last year in the Honinbo final?
Yeah. Yes. Ichiriki actually challenged for the Honinbo last year as well.
Yeah.
And he lost 4-0. So
4-0.
Iyama won his 11th straight Honinbo title.
Yeah, that was a record.
Which is, yes, it is a record, 11th straight.
Yeah.
Game 1, I remember game 1 ended up being voted the game of the year.
Yes, a deserving winner
in the Pro Weiqi Awards. But
Yes.
then after losing that, Ichiriki, it seemed like it broke his spirit, and he was not even able to win a single game in the rest of the match.
Yeah. And now in this game, it was I do believe by the end of the first day, the AI is already not liking Yama's position. And
yes, well, So just to clarify, in the end, obviously, as he lost the title match, Ichiriki had to return to the Honinbo League to try and challenge, and he ended up winning all of his games. He won 7-0. So yes, he earned the right to re-challenge and to try and redeem himself. And this Honinbo game was played on, let's see, I think it was Thursday and Friday. It was on Thursday and Friday.
Yep.
Now, yes, so like you said, day 1, I believe, had 99 moves.
Yes, and the sealed move was move 100. Yes.
Yes, that's right. And you can see at the now Iyama is black, by the way.
Yep.
Ichiriki is white, and those colors were determined just before the game started with Nigiri.
Yep.
Now, the big sort of elephant in the room, or the big issue here, is Black's group in the middle.
Yes.
And this is already a problem because it has no base.
Yeah.
It's not. It doesn't look like it's going to connect to any other groups, and it actually doesn't have any eyes.
Yes.
So it's a very big problem. White surrounding groups are not completely alive, but they're not in serious danger either.
Yeah.
And the question that everyone sort of was wondering at the end of day 1 is how is Iyama going to save this group?
Yeah.
Because obviously, if this group dies, it's game over.
Yeah. Now, Gazel, you said the problem was the middle group. Now, but based on what I'm thinking is actually the problem with Black is that it's running 2 groups. Of course, one is the middle group, and this group over here on the left, that's actually also not alive.
That's actually the right shout out.
Yeah, that's on the right. It's not alive. So what's actually happened is like if you look at Black, actually Black looks like it's got a lot more territory at this stage. It's got 2 corners that are bigger than White's corners. Actually, both of White's corners are still a little bit open. So it's open for the Yosei taking a little bit, being reduced by Yosei. So the problem really is that Black is running 2 groups, but blacks are ahead on territory, but AI already hates White's position, and I think what happened is Ichiriki played really nicely. He kind of just sacrificed these two stones and then just played this nose Tetsuchi, and basically he's basically telling blacks, saying, okay, yeah, show me how you're gonna run out. And I think at some point you asked one of our friends whether they think black is alive, and the response was, I can't see any eyes for black. So yeah. So actually, so if you just, what ends up happening was, this black group ended up running out, and I think I read the news report in that Yama ended up spending 111 minutes on one of the moves. I don't know which one it was, but
No, I'm not entirely sure which one it was either, but it
yeah,
was definitely day 2,
yeah. So
and he was already complete. He
yeah,
was trying to find a solution to a situation that had none.
yeah. Well,
But I have to say, if we can go back to earlier in the
yeah,
game in day 1,
yeah,
I felt that Iyama played this. I felt that for Iyama, this game was of quite a low standard for him.
right,
I felt this didn't seem like a 2-day game to
yeah,
me. This
right,
seemed like the type of game that could be played, with just 1 hour time controls.
right,
Yeah, I didn't think that this was such a great game, but I want to go back to a couple of the moves that I think really surprised me
yeah.
with considering Iyama's playstyle. Move 71.
71,
If you go back,
yeah, connects,
yes. Now I felt that this was overly passive
yeah,
for Iyama. I think that I believe that the AI suggested that instead, black should surround the 2 white stones in the middle.
right. So somewhere around
Basically
here,
net them off. Yeah,
jump
basically
or
kill them.
fly, yeah, kill them
Yeah,
off,
kill
yeah,
them.
yeah. That would be
Now
solid,
the
yeah,
fact that obviously that will leave a cut open on the left for white,
yeah,
but it was basically AI said that was the better option. So like the choice
right,
was essentially the choice for black was essentially secure the left hand side or secure the center.
yeah,
Now Ayama chose to secure the left hand side, and then if you see white's next move, move 72, and this allowed white to split black's
like,
2 running groups,
yeah,
which led to all the problems.
yes,
And I just felt that Iyama isn't a hyper aggressive player, but he is very capable of fighting, and he's more
yes,
than willing to fight. And I felt like in this case he chose the wrong fight.
yeah,
Now the second move that of Iyama that I was a little bit surprised with was move 97. Now this was near the end.
97,
This was near the end of day 1.
yep,
Now I thought this move was a Gote move,
right,
and I thought it was overly passive and I didn't see the exact purpose of this move.
yeah. Well, I guess if it didn't play there, white can play there, and white can cut off the tail and connect the 2 white groups. So white will be completely safe.
Yeah, and I guess so, and I guess that there wasn't. But the problem is that it was just too slow.
Yeah,
Black is already in a lot of trouble with that group, and it just allowed white to further attack
yeah,
Black's right hand group, and well, Iyama just never recovered from
yeah,
this position. But I think really the move that sort of decided the game was move 71.
yeah. Yeah. So that 71, that does look like black would have been better off just capturing it and at least secure make sure its 2 biggest groups are not split over. But what ends up happening was that I think at the end black Yama just resigned here because the black group just dead.
The black group's completely dead. Like
Yeah.
white's up by maybe 60 points.
Yeah, so there's no
So obviously. But yeah,
Yeah.
even there just never seemed to be. There was never even seemed to be close to making two eyes.
Yeah, that was uh, that was a bit of a surprise. So, well, game two is happening maybe Sunday. So
Yeah, but in the end, so just to be clear, Ichiriki won game one,
yes,
and it was it was. I think it was more, in my opinion, it was more a poorly played game by
Yeah.
Iyama than
a good game.
an extremely well played game by Ichiriki. But he did enough. Like, you don't need to play brilliantly if you just need to play better than your opponent, and your opponent plays poorly.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the Honinbo game one. So looking forward to game two. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so now actually, what I might do is actually quickly show you some stats which I computed. Now, if you look at their strength over the last 2 years, and you look at their ratings point, there's about only 50 points difference between the two. So Yama is slightly ahead. But in a 7 game series, that 50 points difference could translate into a little bit of an advantage. In actually, uh, the chances of Yama winning any particular game is rated at 58% based on that rating point difference. So if you look at the overall uh, prediction of the final winner based on their point difference, is that even though Yama is 1 game behind, he still has a 50% chance of retaining the Honinbo. So, but let's see what happens. It's still hopefully 6 more games to go, and it's still 50-50. So it's still either player's games to series to
Oh,
win or lose.
absolutely. I thoroughly agree that even though I I'm stating that in my opinion Iyama played poorly. I don't. It's only 1 game,
Yeah.
and Iyama has shown before. I remember the Honinbo 3 years ago. I mean 2 years ago. Sorry, when he was challenged by Shibano Torimaru,
Yeah.
and in 3 of the games, he actually had a big dragon die.
Yeah.
Shibano killed a big dragon of his in 3 of the games, and he ended up was behind 3 games to 1, but he ended up coming back and winning that
Yeah.
4 games to 3. So Iyama is certainly able to bounce back. But I would be curious to know if Iyama was just not at his best for game one.
Yeah.
Like if he perhaps was not well or not 100%, because I felt that I don't know. It certainly wasn't a memorable game by him. But whatever.
Yeah, sure.
There's still plenty of games left, and Iyama certainly knows how to win Honinbo games.
100%. Let's see if you can make it 12 to finish
Now,
it off.
yes. Now, before we move on, I just want to I want to go to one of the things you posted. Now, this isn't directly related to the Honinbo,
Yeah.
but you made a post about some game recorders in Japan.
Yeah.
2 Japanese game record keepers. Nick, can you go to that post?
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
It's funny. Yeah, there it is. Now, the first image here is not a Japanese game record keeper.
Yeah.
It's the remote control for the blinds.
Oh.
What's going on here, Xiaodai?
I honestly do not know what's happened. But apparently these were the 2 record keepers. I believe the original article was talking about their experience, recording the games, and I have no idea why this thing appeared in the picture. I don't have the context. Obviously, I don't read Japanese, so yeah. Would be interesting if someone in the can tell us what's happening there. So I can't answer.
Well, it's happened a few times where it seems like you've got some sort of bot that scrapes images.
Yeah.
And it will often include some images that are
just
almost
random.
Completely unrelated. Yeah.
Yeah. Probably in the context of the article, it probably makes sense, but I really don't know. Can't tell you there.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate that's the very first image. Yeah. Like when I first saw it, I was thinking, oh wow, they've got electronic game record keepers now. Like I was wondering if it was an
Yeah.
electronic game record keeper, but it's not.
Yeah, no, the chat GPT hasn't infiltrated this yet. That's just the
Yes.
hope. So let's move on to the yeah. So now okay, Gaza. I'm reading the article. Okay, I'm reading the article. Okay, so it's talking about this hotel. Okay, so it says this hotel is a pretty fancy hotel. Um, and yeah, and basically it was the lady saying that she lived in this, super luxurious, double, and there is a glass room with the bathroom is made of glass, and you can see the river outside, and it's got a lot of contraptions. She said contraptions, and what she says is when you press one of the buttons, you can adjust the light or darkness of the room, and yeah, so I think that she's referring to this. You can control how much light gets through, and she's basically saying how fancy the hotel is.
Wow, modern technology, amazing. Now, who are these record keepers? Now, one of them I recognize. I believe that they're both
Yasuda or
professionals.
something, yeah. I don't know I can't remember who the second one was. Yeah, so I have to.
I recognize the face, but I don't recall
Yeah.
the name, unfortunately. But they're both professionals.
Yes. Um.
One of them is a one
Okay.
dan.
Okay. So one of them is Sukada Chiharu. So that's the lady on the right, and of course the
Yes,
lady on the left. The
is
lady on
is
the left,
Yasuda.
Yasuda. She's famous. She's apparently the. I think we talked about this. She's got the most views on her profile. On the Japanese keying in terms of Japanese keying players. So.
Oh, how do you measure? How do you find that? How do you find out who has how many views?
I didn't find out. They published an article about it. Nihon
Oh,
Keen,
okay.
I think. Top 10. Some of the players are just completely random. Some of them have a high profile view count because their son was a regular TV personality, and apparently one of the pros' son was famous or knowing a lot about Japanese fishes in Japan.
Okay.
So yeah, so yeah, some weird stuff. But let's just move on. Let's just move on to you talked about Gaza, how Shin Jinseo, how Yama can bounce back, and what a bounce back this is for Kerje. Believe it or not, after losing 3 games in the first 6 games, Kerje has actually managed to make the Asian game squad. So that was quite a miracle. Now the final stage of the Chinese Asian game selection procedure included 10 players in a round robin league. So basically, you play 9 games, and you basically have to make the top 6 out of 10 to make it. So Kerje barely made a squad because he came literally 6th, but he did inch out Guzihao on strength of schedule, basically. So unfortunately, for Guzihao, he has to miss out on the Asian Games, and the Chinese team is now made up of Yang Dingxin, Li Qingcheng, Zhao Chenyu, Mi Yuting, Yang Kaiwen, and Kerje. And it's not known which 2 out of these 6 players will be selected to play in the individual events. But whatever happens, Kerje did say in an interview that he wants to win both the team and individual events. So let's see who.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
what a shock!
I know, can't believe it.
Now, I some discussion points here. I just want to mention. I've been thinking about this for a while now.
Yeah.
This is the second time we've reported on the Asian Games selection for China.
Yeah.
The first time was last year because last year
Mm.
they had the selection, and then this year they've decided to redo it.
Yes.
Now, I just want to say I have been thinking about this, and I do think that this is. I'm not a fan of this.
Yes. Okay.
Because if you think about it, for many of these Chinese players, the Asian Games is like the pinnacle of their career.
Yeah.
And I understand I think the reasoning behind them redoing the selection is because the Asian Games has been delayed by 12 months or a year. And so when the selection, it would be like 18 months after the first selection. So, it wasn't recent.
Yeah.
So they decided to redo it.
Yeah.
But if you think about it, right, for some of these players, they probably put, last year when they did the selection, they put like so much effort and mental energy, right?
Yeah.
Preparing and playing the games. And can you imagine like putting all that energy in
Yeah.
and it you end up making the squad, right?
Yeah.
Like it all pays off. You end up making the squad, right?
Yeah.
And then, 12 months later, they said, oh, yeah, it doesn't count.
Yeah. Wow. Like Gaza, it's probably arguable both ways because it's the games were delayed for a year, so God knows what's gonna happen, in 1 year. So, and I think China was not the only region or association to have done that. Apparently, Taiwan have also redone their selection. So that's things.
Yeah, I just want to say, as someone who has been in the position of a long time ago, and not in Go, but attempting to
Make the
make a
team.
selection team,
Yeah.
right? Attempting to make a team to represent,
The country.
a country, yes.
Yeah.
To like, I know how mentally and emotionally draining it is
Yeah.
to go through that process, and to go through the process, and if I ended up going through that process and getting selected, and then months later I'm told, oh yeah, you got to do it all over again. Like it would be devastating. It would be devastating.
Yeah.
I feel. And so just to mention the players that did make the team the first time around,
Yeah.
and missed out this time, include Li Junhao,
Yeah.
Gu Zhihao, Fan Tingyu, and Tuo Jiaxi.
Yeah.
So 4 players made the team last year and now no longer part of that team.
Yeah, and Gaza, there's some people who have jokingly said that the whole process was designed to, get rid of Tojashi. But if that was what they wanted to do, they've done a bit more than that.
Yeah, it only cost them Gu Zhihao, Li Junhao, and Fan Tingyu. But yeah, it just really illustrates just how volatile the Chinese competitive scene is, because
Just how competitive it is. Yeah.
I remember last year didn't Fan Tingyu end up topping the
Yeah, might have been something
Didn't
like
he end
that.
up with the most wins in the end?
Might have been either Li Shenhao or Fan. Can't remember.
I think Fan Tingyu may have only lost one game.
Right.
I'm not too sure. And and then now he's actually not playing very well this year. So it may, but things can change. He might be the best player in the world come the actual Asian Games. And Li Junhao had a absolutely fantastic 2022, and I think everyone's a little bit shocked to see that he's been eliminated.
Yeah, his form has
taking
dipped.
the team.
Yeah, his form.
But something that I have been tracking regarding Li Junhao is his performance as black, playing as black.
Right.
And it's quite interesting because even when he was dominating 2022, he actually wasn't winning many games with black.
Right.
And I'm just checking out. The last time he actually won with black seems to have been September last year. He beat Chen Yaoye. I'm not sure in what tournament, but September 14th was the last time he won a game as black.
Oh wow.
Since then, he's played with black 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 9 times, and he's lost all 9. His last 9 games with black, he's lost.
Oh wow.
Yeah, pretty. It's
That's
pretty
pretty crazy.
incredible just how how badly he's done with
Yeah.
black. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, these kind of things can, of course, happen if you study a lot with AI because if you study with AI, then you know how to respond to black's moves because you play second as white. So that could be it. That could be it. But yep, we won't be seeing Li Xuanhao. But Gaza, let's just do a revision of the Korea's lineup because they haven't redone their selection and they have no plan to. But but their team is pretty uh, pretty strong as well. Shin Jinseo, Park Jun-hwan, Byun Sang-il, Kim Min-hyun, Shin Min-jun, and Lee Jit-hoon. I guess the only big name that I think should be here but is missing is Kang Dong-yun. But
Well, obviously Shin Jinseo Park Jun. Now it turned out actually, despite the fact that the Asian Games is arguably even more important for Korea than China.
yeah,
4 of those 6 players were actually seeded.
yeah, right,
Well, I believe Shin Jinseo was seeded based on just being Shin Jinseo, right?
yeah,
And perhaps Byun Sang-il and Park Jun-hwan were national team selections, and I think Kim Young-hoon was also a national team selection.
right, yeah,
And I believe the reasoning was that they had in national team scrimmages he did the best or something like that.
yeah,
So he didn't even have to enter the qualifiers.
right,
Only 2 of these players were selected through qualifiers and ended up being Shin Min-jun and Lee Jae-hyun.
yeah,
Now, I don't think, in my opinion, Lee Jae-hyun I think is the weak link
right, yeah,
for this team. If you look at the Korean League, I believe the other 5 players, Shin Jinseo, Park Jun-hwan, Byun Sang-il, Kim Young-hoon, and Shin Min-jun, all did extraordinary, remarkably well in the Korean League. They may have all had 16 wins or more.
mm,
I'm just checking. Kim Young-hoon had 16 wins. Park Jun-hwan and Shin Min-jun had 16 wins, and Byun Sang-il had 15 wins.
wow,
So they actually finished. Yeah, those are actually the top 5 finishers. In terms of number of wins, those 5 players are the top 5 in the Korean League. So it looks like that those top 5 are a solid top 5. Lee Jae-hyun is the odd one out. He started strong, but he ended up with 9 wins and 10 losses in the Korean League. So he's clearly the weak link there. And
yep,
but I think only 5. I think each match is only 5 players, so he may just be a reserve. But yeah, Korea, despite the fact they had their Asian Games selection around the same time as China's first selection, they're not redoing it. And yeah, like I said, I agree with that just because of how for the players' benefit, the players that already got selected, I think they deserve to keep their spot.
yeah. I mean, I guess it's not the players' fault that the competition got postponed.
Yes,
but yeah,
but the players certainly owe it to their teammates and their region to prepare as best as they can for this competition.
Yeah.
And I did mention that for Korea, it's arguably even more important, this Asian Games, than it is for China. And I'll explain that. It's because in Korea, if you win the Asian Games, you get to skip the compulsory military service. You don't need to do military service. So for Korea, that is an incredible incentive for these players, and that is why Park Jun-hwan does not need to do military service. It's because he was a winning member of the previous Asian Games.
Great. Gaza. So let's quickly look at the Japanese team because we have
Yeah.
Ichiriki Ryo, Shibano Toramaru, Iyama
Mhm.
Yuta, Seki Kotaro, and Sada Atsushi. They seem to be only going with the team of 5. Okay.
Yes.
All
So
right.
no reserve.
No reserves. Okay.
Now Ichiriki, Shibano, and Iyama are obvious picks. They were always going to be selected.
Yeah.
Seki Kotaro seems to have been selected because he's the current Tengen.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, he's if his performance in the Korean League is anything to go by, he's going to be a bit of a risk.
Yeah.
In the Korean League, I believe he won 2 games and lost 10.
Yeah.
So
that's not good.
yeah, it's not a good sign.
Mm.
But yeah, he did 1, 2, lost 10. So hopefully he can improve.
Mm.
And Sadat Sushi, I mean, I rate him. He's a good pick. I'm
Yeah.
not sure how well he'll do.
Yeah.
But he's certainly a chance. He has beaten Mi Yuting before, so maybe he can do it again.
Yeah, and we'll cover the Japanese. I mean the women's lineup when the Chinese have finalized their selection, which is going to be soon. But I do believe that Taiwan, given that they have redone their selection, I can't remember who they have selected last time, but it's the new list is Xu Haohong, Wang Yuanjun, Lin Junyan, Lai Junfu, Chen Qirui, and Xu Chaoyan. Of course, who usually plays in Japan, and that's a pretty strong team. I think all of these names we've heard about. Yeah.
If you put Chen Qirui as the reserve, I think that's the best team they could have gone with.
Yeah, because Lai Junfu is in really hot form recently.
Yep. That's the team I would have picked. Yeah. Su Shaowan is an interesting pick. Not because of his strength. He's certainly strong enough.
Yeah.
But because he doesn't play in the Taiwanese region.
Yeah.
He is Taiwanese, but he plays, of course, in Japan.
Yes.
In the Nihon Kiin.
Yes.
But obviously for the Asian Games, you represent your country.
Yes.
So he's Taiwanese. He's not Japanese.
Yeah.
So that's why he's representing Taiwan.
Yeah.
But yeah, it is still interesting to see him with his Taiwanese players.
Yeah.
And it would be curious to see like who would be board 1. Would it be Su Shaowan or would it be Zhu Haohong?
Yeah.
Very interesting.
Yeah, very interesting to see how the coaches will select their teams. Maybe they'll put both of them in the individual events. Who knows? All right.
Well, yeah, that's also interesting. Who's going to be in the individual?
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to Asian game, which is going to happen in September this year in the Hangzhou, beautiful city. I've been there a few times. And okay, Gaza, moving on from the Asian games, let's go to Japan to look at the Aizu Central Hospital Cup. Now this
bit of background. Should I give a bit of background?
Yeah, give a bit of background.
So it is one of the Japanese women's majors, the Aizu Central Hospital Cup.
Yep.
It has the women's majors don't really have a hierarchy. They all have reasonably the same amount of prize money. I believe this one is 7 million yen. So in Aussie dollars, that's about $70,000.
Yeah.
So maybe in American dollars, it's maybe 50,000 or something like that.
Yep.
That's a pretty decent. That's pretty decent. I don't know if I don't think that's quite the biggest in Japan for women, but it's right up there.
Yeah.
And it is a title holder challenger tournament, like most of the majors in Japan.
Yep.
It is. It uses a knockout format to determine the challenger, and then it is a best of 3 final.
Yes.
Now the now when we last saw this, or before this week, we were down to the last four
Yeah,
challenges.
that's
The
right.
last four, we were down to four players
Yeah.
to challenge.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the of course the current title holder is Ueno Asami.
That's right. The current title holder is Yuno Asami, who
Yeah.
won the title from Fujisawa Arena last year.
Yeah.
So this is her first time trying to defend the title.
Yep. And as in a lot of these Japanese events, before the event, the players would turn up in traditional Japanese attire, and they would do a photo shoot, do a press conference. And this is the press conference where Sumire is speaking. So she's of course one of the semi-finalists, as we discussed. And
Mhm.
this is Ueno Asami, the current title holder, Fujisawa Arena, Ueno Asami. Now this lady
Mhm.
here, I believe she's also a frequent, uh, you know, a player who appears frequently in the quarterfinals or semifinals of a lot of the Japanese competitions. Her name is Mukai Chiaki. So I see her name a lot, but because she doesn't win that many titles, I kind of don't is not able to kind of say her name without looking it up. But that's what it
I do
is.
believe she was in the Globus. No, not the Globus Cup. I mean
The league,
the Senko Cup. Was she in
right?
the Senko Cup one year?
Uh,
Yes, 2 years ago she was in the Senko
you
Cup.
probably, yeah.
Yeah, she lost to Yu Ying in the semifinals.
Right,
Yeah.
and she is definitely one of the top players in top women players in Japan. So she's in the semifinal, and of course over at the end we have Yuano Risa. That's Yuano Asami's sister. So the matchup is Sumire versus uh, Mukai, and Fujisawa versus Yuano Risa. And it turns out that Sumire had lost, so Mukai Chiaki made the final, and Fujisawa Arena beat Ueno Risa to make the final. And
So the final will
yeah,
be between Mukai Chiaki,
mm,
the veteran six dan,
yeah,
and Fujisawa Arena.
yes. And Fujisawa Arena managed to beat Mukai, so therefore Fujisawa Arena will be challenging this year. So,
So she was the previous champion,
mm,
and yeah, so she's 1 year after losing her title, she's back for revenge and redemption.
mm,
Yeah, very interesting. Now the uh, the semifinals were played yesterday, as of this recording,
yeah,
and the final was played today.
mm,
So this is a very recent update, but Fujisawa Arena was certainly the favorite to become the challenger,
yeah.
and yeah, it ended up that she did it.
Yeah, she did it, and of course, maybe a couple of years ago, maybe people would say that Fujisawa Arena is at the undisputed Japanese number one. But it looks like in the last 2 years, Ueno Asami might have just overtaken Fujisawa Arena a bit in that she's won the Senko Cup and she's taken quite a few titles. So it's going to be a very interesting matchup. But my money's on Ueno Asami.
Well, yeah, it's certainly no longer
Clear cut?
undisputed that
Yeah,
Fujisawa Arena is the number one in
yeah,
Japan, and by many arguments, Asami is the number one in Japan because she actually holds more titles.
yeah, yeah.
She holds the women's Meijin,
Mm,
the Aizu Central Hospital Cup, and she also holds the Young Cup.
right.
That's that co-ed tournament.
Yeah.
Of course, she used to hold the International Senko Cup,
Mm.
whereas Fujisawa Arena, I believe she currently only has the women's Honinbo,
Oh, wow. Mm.
which is it. Yeah, she only has the women's Honinbo, which is the only best of five. It's the only best of five tournament, but it's still only one tournament.
Mm.
Whereas, Asami, I believe, has three
Yeah.
titles currently.
Very, very, very nice. Now, I don't know when the final will be played, but I definitely will be very much looking forward to it.
Well, on the web, I'm checking the website now, and there is no mention of the date for the final. So
Right. Yeah.
it doesn't look like it's going to be soon.
Yeah.
Certainly not something like next week or anything like that.
Yeah. Okay. So, I guess we'll definitely report back when it happens. So, that's it about the Aizu Central Hospital Cup. Nagasa, you want to talk about some Korean news?
Oh, yes. So the Korean League regular season actually finished
Yes.
this week.
Yes.
And it finished with... Now, one of the groups had already finished. They finished the week before, and we discussed that.
Yeah.
This was the second group.
Yeah. This is
And-
Shin Jinseo's group.
We'll call it Shin Jinseo's group, yes. Now, before the start of the week, everyone in that group had played 15 rounds. So there was one round left.
Yes.
And first place was already guaranteed. Career price information was going to finish first in the group. And last place was already guaranteed. Team Taiwan were going to finish last.
Right.
However, second, third, fourth, and fifth had not yet been decided.
Yep.
And second and third make the playoffs. Fourth and fifth do not.
Yeah.
So it was a very exciting final round, and we'll go through it match by match in chronological order.
Yes.
Now, the first match was Taiwan versus Team Taijem.
Taijam, yes.
Now, I believe Taijem needed to win this. Now, sorry, just a quick reminder. In the Korean League, each match is 4 games.
Yes.
Now, if a team wins 3-1 or 4-0, they get 3 match points. The loser gets no match points.
Yeah.
If it ends up at 2 games apiece, a 5th game is played.
Yeah.
And whoever wins that, their team gets 2 match points. The loser gets 1 match point.
Yep.
So in each match, a team can get anywhere from 0 to 3 points. And basically, the placings in the league are determined by match points. Now, the first game this week was Team Taijem versus Taiwan. And Taijem, I believe they needed 3 match points to guarantee playoffs.
Right.
If they ended up with 1 or 2 match points, they still had a chance of making playoffs, but it wasn't guaranteed. Whereas 3 points, so a 3-1 or 4-0 win, would guarantee them playoffs.
Right.
Now, the first game was good. An Sung-jun beat Lai Junfu.
Yep.
But then in the second game, Lin Junyan beat Choi Jae-young. So it ended up being 1 game apiece.
Yep.
And you also have to remember, by the way, that Taiwan were already guaranteed last. So they were just playing for pride, really.
Yep.
Whereas Taijem had everything to play for. Now, boards 3 and 4, Zhu Haohong, the number 1 for Taiwan, he disposed of An Kuk-hyun.
Right. Yes. 1.5 points. Yes.
Yes. So now, board 4, Park Kyun-ho, he had to defeat Lin Lik-jiang.
Lai Junfu.
Lin Lik-jiang on board 4.
Still on game 4, yes.
Yeah,
yes.
Otherwise they'd get no match points. And I believe they would have been eliminated. Now, Park Kyun-ho, he did defeat Lin Lik-jiang. So he made it 2 games apiece. And so they had to play game 5. Now, in game 5, you can use one of the players that has already played. And Taijem, they brought back Park Kyun-ho, even though he just finished his game. They brought him back. And Taiwan brought Lai Junfu. And that one was an interesting choice because Lai Junfu was the only player for Team Taiwan that had yet to win a game.
Oh, wow.
And I think they did that because this was basically his last chance to finally get a win. This was going to be, regardless of what happened, this was going to be the last game for both teams.
Yeah.
Well, no, for Team Taiwan. It was going to be the last game for Team Taiwan because they couldn't make the playoffs. So I'm guessing that the manager, Zhu Junjun, he put in Lai Junfu as one final opportunity to get a win. And he ended up getting the win for Team Taiwan.
Wow. The
Yeah.
first win, also the last game of the season.
At the very last opportunity, Lai Junfu gets his first win of the season. So big congrats to Lai Junfu.
Yes.
But that was actually obviously a blow to Team Taijin because they ended up losing 2-3, so they only got 1 match point from this.
Yeah.
Now that put them on 24 match points. And that made it very unlikely. It was going to be very unlikely for them to make the playoffs because next up, the next match was Celtrion versus Team POSCO Chemicals. Now, Celtrion and POSCO, they were both on 24 points along with Taigem. So what needed to happen was one of those teams needed to win 3-1 or 4-0.
Yep.
Because if it ended up 2 games apiece, both teams would get at least 1 point, so they'd both move ahead of Taigem. So Taigem would be out of the top 3.
Yep.
And what happened was it did end up 2 games apiece.
Oh.
So that meant that both teams will end up with at least 25 points. And both teams finished ahead of Taigem. So Taigem was eliminated.
Wow, rigged.
Now the ace match was Kim Young-hoon versus Park Min-kyu, both top 20 players. And Kim Young-hoon ended up winning that for Team Celtrion. And that guaranteed that got Team Celtrion 2 match points.
Yep.
And that guaranteed them playoffs.
Very nice.
So that meant, just as a recap, with 1 match left, we have Career Price Information. They're already at 31 points. They're clear. They're first place.
Yeah.
Celtrion are at 26 points.
Yeah.
Team POSCO are at 25.
Yeah.
Taigem are at 24. Team Kicks are at 22.
Ooh.
And Taiwan are at 15.
Right.
Now, the last match is Team Kicks versus Career Price Information.
Yes.
Now, I said Team Kicks are on 22 points, whereas Career Price Information, currently in 3rd place, are on 25.
Yes.
So that means to get 25 points, Team Kicks need to win their match 3-1 or 4-0.
Yes.
Now, that would get them equal with Team POSCO Chemical, but however, the tie break, if match points are equal, the tie break is whoever has won the most matches.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, POSCO Chemical, they've only won 7 matches, while Team Kicks, before this match, they'd already won 9. So if they end up tied on points, Team Kicks will win the tiebreaker.
Yeah. Okay.
So the simple maths is Team Kicks just needed to win 3-1 or 4-0.
Yeah.
It was simple. If they do that, they make the playoffs. If they don't, Team POSCO make the playoffs.
Yes.
Now, Team Kicks, so they needed their players to come in and deliver the goods, right?
Yeah.
And the first game was Shin Jinseo versus Kang Dong-yoon.
Nice.
Now I think this was an ideal pairing for Kicks because they want to put Shin Jinseo against the best player.
Yeah.
And not only that, but as we already discussed, Kang Dong-yoon had earlier in the week beaten Shin Jinseo. So Shin Jinseo was hungry for revenge.
Yes.
And he certainly got revenge. He easily dispatched of Kang Dong-yoon. And that was to be expected, I believe. So that was a good start for Team Kicks. Second board was their second best performing player, Bae Kyung-woo, against Career Price Information's Kang Seung-min. And Kang Seung-min, at the beginning, had a very strong position. He was leading the game. But Bae Kyung-woo fought back and ended up winning.
Wow.
And so, yeah, I actually thought Kang Seung-min was going to win that. And if Kang Seung-min won that, then that meant that would have made it one game apiece, and Kicks would have had to win the last two rounds, the last two boards. But Bae Kyung-woo, he pulled through, and it was 2-0 to Kicks. So that meant they needed to, if they could win one of the last two boards, they would have done it. They would have pulled it off.
Yeah.
Now for board 3, Kicks brought in a wild card.
Yeah.
They brought in one of the players from their reserves team, Park Jae-gyun. Now, up until this round, they hadn't brought in anyone from the reserves team. They'd used all of their players in their main squad. But I'm guessing that they weren't confident with Kim Sung-jun or Kim Chang-hoon, so they brought in Park Jae-gyun.
Well, did coach not say in the post game interview that he thinks that the regular squad team members were not in good form, meaning that they would just play shit?
Well, that echoes what I was saying.
Yeah.
If that's what he says, and I appreciate his honesty because he's absolutely correct.
Yes.
But he brought in Park Jae-gyun, but I have to say, I mean, what an atmosphere to bring your player in. Like, no pressure or anything. You just basically need to win your game, otherwise your team will miss the playoffs.
And brings him in.
He brings him in, and the matchup I thought was favorable because he was playing against the weakest player for Career Price Information, Jinseo.
Yeah.
And it was a bit of a back and forth game, but Park Jae-gyun, I think he ended up winning by maybe 1.5 point win.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And but with that, that's 3 wins already.
Yeah.
However, that was not
the
third game. That was not the third game to finish. The third game to finish was actually board 4.
Right.
And this was Park Jin-sol versus Hang Song-ju. Now, Park Jin-sol, he's had a terrible Korean league. He actually leads the league for most losses.
Oh, wow.
He was at 5 wins, 11 losses.
Wow. Yeah.
Coming into this. So, actually, Choi Jong also has 11 losses, by the way.
Yeah.
So they were tied, but 5 wins and 11 losses. So, and he was up against Han Song-ju, who is the number 2 player for Career Price Information. So, he was under a lot of pressure to sort of reverse his fortunes.
Yeah.
And to put in a strong showing for Kicks and Shin Jinseo. And he ended up pulling it off. He ended up beating Han Song-ju, and that was the game. That win was what sealed Kicks' playoff spot.
What a team of clutch players. And Gaza, tell me, after this win, what is the contribution in terms of total wins for Shin Jinseo versus the rest of his team?
Well, in this for this entire team, overall, they won in their 16 rounds. They won 38 games, which is decent.
Yes.
Which is decent. That's
decent.
That's maybe 2.4 wins per match.
Yeah, so that's
okay. Not bad.
That's kind of what I would expect in a 4-game or 5-game match. Yeah.
Yes. I think only 3 teams had more.
Yeah.
Only 3 teams had more than 38 wins.
Yeah.
20 of those wins were from Shin Jinseo. 20.
Yeah.
Can you believe it? He won more games
than the rest
of his team
combined.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Absolutely ridiculous. He played 22 games and he won 20 of them.
Yeah.
Even for Shin Jinseo, that is insanely impressive.
That's crazy. Yeah.
And but his teammates, They pulled through at the last minute. They ended up beating the top team in their group 4-0
Wow.
in the last round. And I believe they had an interview with a few of the players of Kicks maybe a month or so ago.
Yeah.
I think it was Shin Jinseo, Park Jin-sol, and Bae Kyung-woo. And I think Shin Jinseo mentioned, I'm driving the bus here. Just everyone just hop on the bus with me, right? And we'll get to the playoffs or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got to tell you, they certainly hopped on the bus this week. Park Jin-sol, he's like I said, he's had a very poor league, but he won when it mattered.
Yes.
So good for him. I'm happy for him that he managed to reverse his fortunes.
Yeah.
A bit unfortunate for Team POSCO.
Yeah.
But there are lots of people, including people in this chat, that wanted to see Shin Jinseo in the playoffs, and they got what they wanted.
Yes. So awesome. It's a great finish to the league in regular season.
Great finish to the regular season. And I have to say, this regular season I feel was a success, despite the
introduction of the Japanese team.
Despite the not so great performance of Team Taiwan and Team Japan.
Yeah.
I still think it was a success. I mean, the regular season was still very exciting.
Yep.
I do hope that Team Taiwan and Team Japan return. I know that they probably won't. Team Taiwan can't get any stronger, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Team Japan certainly can. But I really do hope they continue. And I do hope that they get better, because more competition is always a good thing. Yeah. It will improve the standard and perhaps regularity of international competition, which I like seeing more than anything.
Yeah.
But in any case, the playoffs will start this week, I believe. And I just want to give a brief explanation of the format for the playoffs. So, if you don't mind, Jadai.
Yeah, sure.
Now, there are 3 teams from each group that make the playoffs. Now, the first round is second place versus third place.
Yep.
In those groups. And I believe it is 3 matches. I think it is 3 matches. Eugene in the chat can certainly correct me if I'm wrong. It's 3 matches. So whoever wins 2 matches will make it through to the next stage. And I believe for the first of those matches, the third place team, they have to list their boards first.
Right.
And then the second place team, they can assign their players accordingly.
Right, that's interesting. Yeah.
So in the past, teams would assign players to boards without knowledge of the other team's assignments. So that was just, to make it fair, right?
Yeah.
However, in the playoffs, second place, I guess the second place team has to have some sort of advantage for finishing second instead of third.
Yeah.
So I believe for the first match of the playoffs, third place has to announce their boards before second place.
Right, that's interesting.
Give their assignments, yes. Now, the winner of those matches, they will play first place in the group. And I'm not sure if it's best of 3 or best of 5. I believe it's best of 3. And I can only imagine that the same sort of provisions for first place happens in the first of those matches. They get to pick their assignments after they see the assignments of the other team.
Right.
And then the winners of those matches play each other. So in the grand final. So basically the 2 groups are segregated up until the grand final. And I believe the grand final is a best of 5. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
But we'll find out more. We'll find out more when it happens. I believe so. Like I said, I think the first round. Let me check the first round. Actually, I don't know when the first round starts.
Right.
It doesn't actually say on the Baduk League website. So maybe it's not this week. Maybe it'll be in a few weeks' time.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So that's the Korean League regular season. So looking forward to the postseason. Now, Gaza, let's move on to the next story.
Hmm.
Or was there something you wanted to say? No.
Eugene mentioned in the chat actually that
Yeah,
the top six players in Korea
yeah,
all managed to make the postseason.
yeah.
So
Sure.
that's good. That's good. We almost had the very number one player not make the postseason, but
Yeah,
apparently the top six all made it. Won Song Jin, unfortunately, he did not make the postseason. He was part of Team POSCO, so they got eliminated at the very last minute.
mm,
Other than that, yeah, good. Kim Ji Sok also was not able to make the postseason. Unfortunately, he was part of Team Baduk Mecca. Um, yeah, who barely missed out.
yeah. Okay, so I guess that's a very interesting. Top six players all making the final season.
Mm-hmm.
Gaza, moving on to again going to China. Now this is something that I've posted on Reddit, but I thought what I would do is kind of just showcase the original article, which has been read by about 36,000 people on the Chinese Weibo platform. As you can see here, this picture here, that's the president of the Chinese Weiqi Association. Now, this is a corruption scandal coming out of the Chinese Weiqi
Oh
Association.
no!
This is the Chinese Weiqi Association. Not only are they incompetent, they're also a bit corrupt, apparently. Now, this is the story. The story goes something like this, and I hope I do this story as much justice as I can. But obviously, I'm not a journalist. But according to this article has picked out, a few cases that are probably published on the Chinese judicial, systems websites about some lawsuits that the a subsidiary of the Chinese Weiqi Association have lost. Now, apparently, what's happened was during the COVID period, the Chinese Weiqi Association either set up a subsidiary or this subsidiary has always existed. And the whole purpose of this subsidiary was that it's allowed to issue a dance certificate, and it's got the rights to uh, administer this test online. Of course, you charge a fee for it. And what they have done is they've kind of on-sold this right to another company for the very low price of 1 renminbi, so 1 yuan. That would be about 20 cents US, about 20 cents US per person to another company. Now, this other company, after having received these exclusive rights to issue dance certificates online, apparently have made a profit of about 20 million renminbi. And as you can imagine, the CWA have received jack in return. And guess what? They are now pointing the finger at one of the secretaries. I guess when they say secretary, it's actually quite high-ranking official because it's like the secretaries of departments in the UK public service, for example. So this particular secretary has been named as being the person who's basically got connections to this company that they have given the rights to, and it's a bunch of lawsuits related to this whole case. So this is not a good look in China for the CWA. Just really sad. And what's more sad is that this article is probably as far as it goes. There's probably not going to be any further, you know, punishment or follow up because it's just the enforcement of these things. This kind of corruption are just kind of what do you say? Basically, what people are expecting this kind of corrupt conduct to be there. So it's unlikely to be any more kind of backlash in terms of the media or anything else. That this article is kind of as far as it goes, but it's pretty sad.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very disappointing.
disappointing. So that's the corruption scandal coming out of the CWA. Uh, but moving from one sad story to maybe a more positive story, we have Taiwan Mingren, Lai Junfu, which we have talked about in the Korean League and also in the I think last week's podcast or the week before, where he beat Kerja in the Lanka Cup. So very, very strong player. And he has just beaten Chen Qirui to win the Mingren 4-0.
Taiwan Mingren.
Taiwan Mingren. That's the biggest prize money competition in Taiwan. I think the winner's purse is somewhere around 80,000 USD, or actually maybe Australian dollars. So maybe around 60 or 50 something thousand USD. So that's a pretty decent equivalent to a minor title in Japan. So that's pretty decent. So that's Lai Junfu, pictured here, very handsome, and been interviewed by a sports station, looks like, in Taiwan, called VL Sports. So very, very cool. Gaza. Now I have one more story I want to share, which is this beauty over here. This is taken in some, I guess, tourist spots in China called the Fanjing Mountain. I personally have never heard of it, but I do think the view is quite breathtaking. They kind of made this structure at the top of a mountain, and this is how it looks like if you kind of just take a picture of it, like just that building at the top of the mountain. I don't think there's lifts there, so Gaza, if you want to make it to the top, you kind of have to walk all the way there. And
Nice.
in their tourism drive, they have invited Kong Jie and Kong Jie's wife to play Weiqi at this spot. Now, I don't know how effective this tourism drive will be, or what is the idea behind inviting Kong Jie, but whatever it is, the view is very nice. And I do wonder if this place has some kind of legend connected to go, but I've never heard of it. But yeah, very, very nice location. I doubt too many tourists will go there, just because it does look like it's very remote, but definitely is a very nice spot. And of course, for those who don't know who Kong Jie is, he's actually a former Chinese number one and has won 3 international titles. He's a contemporary of Gu Li and Li Seido.
Yes, he won them around about 2009, 2010. He won the
Samsung Cup?
for a brief period he was absolutely dominant. He won the Samsung Cup, the LG Cup, and the Fujitsu Cup, all in maybe a 12-month span. No, sorry. Yeah, the Samsung Cup, LG Cup, and Fujitsu Cup, all in roughly a 12-month span.
Yeah.
During that period, he also won the Asian TV Cup 3 times.
Wow. Yep.
Arguably the best player in the world in 2009
Yeah.
or early 2010, and then all of a sudden just didn't win anything anymore.
Yeah. No,
After that, yeah.
But winning 3 international titles, that's seriously impressive.
Yeah, very, very few players have won 3 international titles, and very strong player, but a very quick peak for someone of his strength. Yeah, but still, just an really, really, really good player. Unfortunately, though, he doesn't play anymore. I don't think he's played an official game for maybe 3 years.
No.
So he's certainly retired.
Yeah. I've heard various stories about his post-retirement life. One of them was that he's joining some kind of investment firm, so he's doing investment now. Another story is that he's actually opened up his Weiqi school, so he's actually teaching Weiqi in Beijing.
Yes.
And of course, when he was playing professionally, he was widely regarded as number 2 in China, just behind Gu Li, and occasionally he would actually grab the number 1 spot from Gu Li. So he's actually really, really strong. And believe it or not, back in the mid 2000s, or not mid 2000s, around 2010, 2009, around then, there's actually more live streaming of international competitions from China. So I used to remember watching a live stream of Kong Jie playing with Li Seido. And Kong Jie has this really interesting way of playing on the board. Like he would occasionally just look up and kind of just stare at Li Seido to see how Li Seido's facial expression changes. And Li Seido would not give him eye contact. Li Seido would just stare straight, try to keep a poker face. But you can see Kong Jie just occasionally glancing up and looking at Li Seido to see if there's a reaction or what if Lee Sedol's facial expression is giving away any information, and it does that quite a bit. So I found that really interesting. And the other thing about Kong Jae is that apparently he's a very slow player. He plays very slowly. Almost every game he gets into the Byomi period, and apparently there's a reason for his slowness. Now apparently when he was young, when he was learning Weiqi as a young boy, like in primary school kind of thing, he played really fast, and he plays so fast that he often makes mistakes. And he made a huge mistake, in a competition, a youth competition, and in the audience watching was none other than Nie Wei Ping, who was very critical of Kong Jae. He basically told Kong Jae to his face that you need to slow down. And from that point on, Kong Jae has played really slowly. So it goes to show how how the words from a senior person can have a huge impact on a youth. So some interesting story that I know about Kong Jae to share.
Interesting though that he has won the Asian TV Cup three times in a row, which is a fast tournament.
Correct. I think by nature he would be a very fast player, if not for what Nie Wei Ping has said to him in the youth competition. That's what I'm guessing.
I'm also curious, by the way, as to how strong his wife is. If they're playing,
I don't think his wife is even pro. I think her wife was a contestant in a talent show, like a singing talent show, if I'm not wrong. So probably not much knowledge.
So then, is this a handicap game, or
I have no idea.
Is he just playing? Is he just kicking her ass, or is he?
I think she just played by himself and then got the wife to pose. I'm guessing. I'm really guessing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, but very interesting. Of course, Kong Jae was often referred to as the most handsome man in Chinese Weiqi in his heyday. So I guess you have to see. Well, no, we have to. Yeah. Oh, you be the judge. But anyway, Gaza, I guess it's time for the calendar.
Not quite.
Oh, not quite. No.
There are a couple of things I want to mention.
Okay, mention them.
I believe that there will be a special guest at the US Go Congress this year.
Oh yes. Who might that be, Gaza?
I believe Lee Donghoon, the semi-retired, former top 10, top 5 Korean player.
Wow.
Will be, it's Lee Donghoon, will be at the US Go Congress.
Yeah, this is a bit of a kind of like a out of left field kind of thing, because he sounds like he's retired from professional Go, but he still wants to promote Go. So hey.
Well, by retired, he was offering his retirement, but it was rejected. So he's technically still a professional, unlike people like Lee Se-dol or Park Ji-yeon, who have fully retired and are no longer professional.
Right.
Lee Dong-hoon has retired in the sense that he does not play official games anymore. However, he still has his professional certificate.
Yeah.
And thus, if he were to return, he can do so, and he would actually retain his rating points.
Yeah.
I believe Cho Hun-hyun did something similar. He stopped playing for maybe 4 or so years, but he never actually retired.
Yeah.
However, I got the feeling that he retired because he was sick of Baduk.
Right.
And wanted to try something different in his career. But it seems like either through his own decision or through influence from the KBA, he will be representing the KBA, or at least Korean Baduk in general, at the US Go Congress. And I think this is great.
Yeah.
I think it's a great opportunity for US or North American Go players to meet one of the strongest players in the world. Pretty cool. I also believe that Kim Ji-sok may be attending the European Go Congress?
Right. Is that right? Yeah.
I think so. I'll try and see if I can find the YouTube video that mention this. But No, I can't. No, I can't find it, unfortunately.
Okay.
But I do think that Kim Ji-sok is going to be going to one of the Go Congresses. Maybe Eugene can enlighten me in the chat. Can enlighten me on this, but I might be wrong. I'm not sure.
Yeah. Okay.
I do think that there are going to be some strong Chinese players at the.
Yeah.
Is it the European Go Congress or is it the American one?
I think they would definitely send someone for the European one, but yeah, yeah. So
But yeah, it looks like there's going to be some strong Korean representation at the big Go Congresses in North America and Europe, and that's always good to see.
yeah, yeah, sure. Now, Gaza, speaking of our North America, I was just going to the US Go website. Now, apparently, they are planning the 2023 NAGF, that's the North American Go Federation, Pro Qualification for the upcoming competition happening on the 6th of August to 11th of August. So that will be interesting. Let's see who will be the new pros in the North America. Will there be, new pros that are not of non-Asian descent? Let's just see. Yeah, that'll be interesting.
Yes, I'm not sure if there are going to be pros on the level of Kevin Yang and Alex Chi.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure if those two seem like extremely strong players.
Yeah.
And I'm really not sure of any of the other big amateur names in the North American scene at the moment. So
yeah,
hopefully we can get some more details about that.
Yeah.
Some other things that I wanted to mention before we go to the calendar.
Yeah.
First off, I believe the participants for the Globus Cup have been announced, but we can look at that next week.
Yeah.
Because the Globus Cup is not for another couple of weeks.
Yeah.
But the thing that I did want to mention is that the Women's JAR League has started.
Yes, they have. Yes.
Now, just a couple of things to point out. The Women's JAR League is basically the A League or the top league for Chinese women players.
Yes.
So all of the best Chinese women players will be involved in that. Yu Zhiying, Zhou Hongyu, Lu Mingchuan, Wang Qingxing, Rui Nawei, of course, the legend. She's still there. Wu Yiming.
Yep.
All the best Chinese women's players. Now, some Korean players that are participating, I believe Oh Yoo-jin and Kim Chae-young are participating, as well as Kim Yoon-ji.
Yep.
The number one Korean women's player, Choi Jong, she is not participating, and I'm a little bit surprised at that because I thought that her team in the Women's Yi League qualified for the JAR League, the Women's JAR League. However, for the past 7 or 8 seasons, Choi Jong has played in the Women's Yi League, which is the second division.
Yep.
And she's never actually played in the Women's JAR League. Never.
No.
Which is a bit unfortunate because that means there's no opportunity for her to play against the top Chinese women's players in the women's league. Of course, she plays against them in international tournaments, but that's it.
Yeah.
Whereas in the Women's Yi League, she basically has no competition. She's currently on something like a 39 or so, maybe 35 game win streak.
Yeah.
In the Women's League. So yeah, it's a bit disappointing to not see her in the Women's JAR League, but I'm guessing that she either has a contract with, she gets a new contract with a team in the Women's Year League, or scheduling just doesn't allow her to play in the Women's JAR League.
Yeah.
But hopefully one day she will play in the Women's JAR League, but not this year.
Not this year.
Now, for Japan, I don't know exactly which Japanese players are in the Women's JAR League. The only one that I do know is Nakamura Sumire.
Yep.
Because I believe she's the only one so far that's played a game from Japan in the Women's Jar League. She's played at least twice, maybe only twice at the moment. And she is currently in those 2 games, she lost both. I'll quickly see if I can find who she played against.
She's lost to Hang Xiaotong and Wu Yiming, I think.
Okay, I didn't know how to... No, not Han Xiaotong. Li Sixuan.
Okay.
Yeah. Maybe she has played Hang Xiaotong as well.
Yeah, and I just that's the name I remember. She lost.
Maybe maybe that's... I'm looking at Go ratings, but
Yeah. Okay.
yeah, maybe Hang Xiaotong is her actual proper name.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she lost to Wu Yiming as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, not the best start for Nakamura Sumire. I'm not sure if this... I think this is her first Women's Jar League, so it's going to be good experience in any case. But yeah, a bit of a trial by fire, I guess. Yeah, like I said, I'm not sure who else from Japan is playing in the Women's Jar League. I would have liked to see Yuno Asami for sure. And Fujisawa Arena as well would have been cool. But we'll see if they end up playing.
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I guess that would be it. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, nothing else.
Yeah.
No.
Of course, in China, there's quite a few qualifications happening. So the Asian Games qualifiers for the women's continuing, and of course, and the other one is the Kuksu Mountains Cup qualification is happening. But I guess we'll cover them when we do know who the qualifiers are. So, guys, let's look at the calendar quickly. Where are we at? We're on a Sunday. So, as I mentioned, the Asian Games have just will continue throughout the next week. Asian Games qualifier women for China. And also next week, I believe the Yi League and Bing League in China are happening for the first 4 days of the week, and then taking a break on the Friday before continuing on for the rest of the week. So the Yi League and Bing League are, of course, the second and third division in China. So interesting things to watch out for there. And guys, we do have also, I believe, the Korea's strongest final. Shin Jinseo and Park Jun-hwan.
Yes, we've been talking about the Korea's strongest league for the past dozen or so podcasts, and we mentioned how Park Jun-hwan had won the right to challenge the current champion Shin Jinseo for the Korea's strongest title, and that title match will start this week. The first game is tomorrow, as of this recording, the Monday, the 22nd of May. And game 2 will be 2 days later on the Wednesday. It is a best of 5 final, so you need to win 3 games. So, Park Jun-hwan versus Shin Jinseo, top 2 players in Korea, probably 2 of the top 3 players in the world at the moment. So definitely worth looking forward to. I'm hoping to watch these games live. Very exciting. Otherwise, in Korea, we also have continuing the Weiqi Construction Cup, continuing the GS Caltex Cup.
Right.
We should be starting the quarterfinals at the end of the week, and the Korean Kiwon round of 16 finally gets underway.
Very nice.
Now, I'm not sure exactly who the 16 players are, but I can find them out. But we might talk about a little bit more next podcast if we have time.
Yeah, sure. And also in Japan, we have the Gosei Challenger Final between Ichiriki Ryo and Yu Zhengqi happening on Thursday.
Yes, and the current Gosei champion is Iyama Yuta, so they will be. And I believe that actually Ichiriki and Yu Zhengqi are the previous 2 losers in the Gosei title match. So they're both back to try again. One of them will get that opportunity.
Very nice.
Yes.
And I guess I don't know if we might when our podcast will happen, but likely before Sunday. But just in case, I want to mention that next Sunday we have the Honinbo Game 2, Iyama Yuta versus Ichiriki Ryo. So that will be a huge one as well. All right.
Sounds good.
Sounds good. And I guess with that sounding good, we are about to close this podcast because that's everything we've covered. We wanted to cover this week.
Finally.
Awesome. So that's a bye for me.